Hello, Summer of Learning students. I'm Mr. Robert, and I'm here for some summer math. Today we're going to do an activity called Square Tile Fractions. You'll need some square tiles, your packet, and a pencil. Let's get started. Here are my square tiles, and what I need to do today is I need to find a way to represent 1/4 in square tiles. Now remember, to do this, I also need to figure out how I'm going to represent 1/2. And then that'll help me to figure out how I'm going to represent 1/4. How would you represent 1/4 in square tiles? If you would like, you can pause the video, do some thinking on your own, and then come back to the video when you are done thinking. Here is one way you might represent a whole. You might decide that you're going to use 8 tiles to represent a whole. This entire shape is one whole. So if this is one whole, then 2 tiles is going to be 1/4. That would be 1/4. Here's another fourth. Here's another fourth. And here's another fourth. So 2 tiles would be 1/4. This is a perfectly valid way to represent a whole and a fourth. But for today's lesson, here's how we're going to do it. Remember, I said there are many ways to do it. This is just one, but this is the way that we're going to use today. We're going to say that 4 tiles equals our 1 whole. So if 4 tiles equals 1 whole, then 1 tile equals a fourth. So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 equals a whole. Each one of those is going to be 1/4. All right, so now we've established that 1 tile equals 1/4, and 4 tiles then are going to equal a whole. Can you show me this number with tiles? 3 3/4. Or some people say 3 3/4. Can you show me 3 3/4 with tiles if 1 tile equals 1/4? If you would like, you can pause the video, do some thinking on your own, and then come back to the video when you are done thinking. So if each one of these tiles equals 1/4, therefore 4 tiles equals 1. If this is 1, then to show 3 3/4, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to put 4 tiles down. So there's 1. I'm going to put another 4 tiles down. And now I've got 2. I'm going to put another 4 tiles down. And so that's 3 wholes. So now I've shown my 3. Now I need to do 3/4. So here's a fourth, here's a fourth, and here's a fourth. So this is my representation of 3 3/4 if 1 is 4 tiles. Did you get something similar, or does yours look a little different? So we're going to do a few more. I want you to show me a representation of 4 1/4, 5 1/2, 11/4, and 2 2/3. Now, when you do it, you get to decide what your representation of 1 is going to be. I think I'm probably going to stick with 1 being 4 tiles, and therefore 1/4 is going to be 1 tile. But you might decide, you know what? I want my 1 to be 8 tiles, and therefore 1/4 is going to be 2 tiles. Or maybe you might decide, I want this big shape to be my 1. So 12 tiles would be 1, and then 3 tiles would be 1/4. And then here's your other fourth, and another fourth, and another fourth. So you get to decide how you're going to represent 1. I'm probably going to stick to this representation of 1, but you get to decide how you're going to do it. If you'd like, you can pause the video, do some work on your own, and then come back to the video when you are done working. Let's start out with 4 1/4. Now, if this is the representation of 1, then the way that I represent 4 1/4 is, here's 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes, and since 1 tile equals 1/4, this is my 1/4, so here is 4 1/4. This is one way to represent 4 1/4 if this is your representation of 1. Now, I want to tell you a couple of things. I used all one color here. You could have used multicolors on your representation. I just did it in one color to kind of make it easy for you to see this is a hole, this is a hole, this is a hole, this is a hole, and this is a 4th. All right. The next one, 5 1/2. If 4 tiles equals 1, then this is how I represent 5 1/2. Here's 4 tiles. That's my hole. There's 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes, 5 holes. And now I have to do a half. Well, if 4 tiles are 1, 2 is going to be half of that. So here is 1/4 and 1/4, which equals 1/2. So this is my representation for 5 1/2. Next, we're going to do 11/4. Here's my representation for 11/4. And for this one, if this is 1 hole and 1 tile is 1/4, I counted out 11 of these 1/4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11/4. And then I put 4 of them together to make 1 hole, 4 of them together to make another hole, and that left me 3/4 left over. So 11/4 is actually the same as 2 3/4. Now this last one, 2 2/3, was a little tricky because I could definitely make 2 holes if this is 1, but how am I going to do 2/3 when I've got 4ths here? And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to change my representation of 1. I'm changing it now so that I have 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3 equals 1. So I took away 1 tile, and now I'm saying that my 1 is represented by 3 tiles. So if this is my hole and each one of these is a 1/3, then here's 1, 2, 2 1/3, 2 2/3. That's how I did it. Did you do something similar or did you do something different? Now it's your turn to build a shape. I am not going to tell you how many tiles are going to be in your 1. You're going to get to decide that. But you're going to have 1 minute. I want you to take 1 minute and build as big a shape as you can with tiles. But the only thing is, less than half of it has to be red. Less than half of your shape has to be red. 1 minute to build a shape. Go. If you'd like, you can pause the video, do some work on your own, and then come back to the video when you are done working. There are so many ways to do this. Here's my way of doing this. I made a shape where my hole was 12 tiles. So if my hole is 12 tiles, then half is going to be 6 tiles. And do I have less than half of mine as red? Sure, because I only have 2 red tiles. And if half is 6, 2 is less than 6. So this is a shape where less than half of the tiles are red. There are some square tile fraction sheets in your packet. One is labeled mild, it's the easiest. One is labeled medium, it's medium. And one is labeled spicy, it's the most challenging. Pick one, pick two, pick all of them, and follow the instructions and make shapes with tiles. See how many you can do. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.